What's up everyone, it's Shaf, and being that mill guy, it's my job to make sure that everyone on this channel is getting mill content in every way, shape, and form. So today we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite mill commanders. That's right, we're diving into EDH. So with all of those who play EDH, you'll be familiar with the power scale. And so a lot of these commanders, they may not be on that 8, 9, 10 level on the power scale. They're simply just super fun to play, in my opinion, especially at that 5, 6, 7 level. We'll be going over each one of the commanders and not going through a deck tech, but simply how I believe you should play them at first glance and some of the key cards you want to include, and that should help you kind of tune your deck as to how you want to play it. So in no particular order, we're going to get right to it. The first commander I want to talk about is Merkel Vosk, Mind Drinker. Now this card is very interesting at first. It has a Mind Funeral-esque effect on it, and so obviously you want to make sure that this commander is connecting to your opponents. You want enchantments attached to it, such as Aqueous Form, or you just want to make it unblockable with stuff like Rogue's Passage. But just milling over 4 lands, that can be not so much considering the commander format. A lot of people play a lot of lands, especially those green opponents. And so you want to be able to copy this ability with cards like Strionic Resonator. And so once you're copying this ability and milling your opponent for up to 8 land triggers, now that's going to be a bit more interesting. But going into the next commander, we're going to be talking about Lozad the Multifarious. Now this is a bit more of a self-mill theme, so you may not want to be milling your opponents so much. Obviously the key cards in this strategy are going to be cards like Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, cards that uniquely allow you to win for not having cards in your deck. So obviously the combo pieces with these cards will be stuff like Inverter of Truth or Leveler. So these are the cards that you want to tutor for and get onto the battlefield. So this will be more of a black heavy strategy, as that is the color that has the tutors you need to get these pieces out. So obviously another way that you could build this is if you went big mana with cards like High Tide or Cabal Coffers and Urberg, you could also put massive Eldrazi and massive creatures into your graveyard and pay that activated ability and get those creatures out and possibly go the combat route. Thirdly, I'm going to go into Oona. Now Oona is definitely one of my more favorites, just because it is a mill theme as well as a combat math theme going on with what Oona is trying to do. So you can be on flavor with fairies and play cards like Fairy Trickery and Bitter Blossom, but we're here for mills. So your best friend here is going to be Mind Crank. Obviously you're going to be getting a massive amount of fairies out there, and so all of those fairies connecting, possibly with some combat buffs, whatnot, you're going to be milling your opponent for a lot with this Mind Crank. But another one of your secret hidden friends recently unbanned is going to be Painter's Servant. So this is going to help with the activated ability of Oona. And so with this, you're going to be able to name one color that all cards become. And now Oona is going to guarantee the number of fairies equal to the value of X. Right? Seems pretty good. And so this is obviously going to combo with the previously mentioned High Tide and or Cabal Coffers plus Urberg combo, giving you large amounts of mana, allowing you to create large amount of fairies and swing in for lethal if the mill plan is just not getting there. Now, fourth, we're going to be talking about the Scarab God. Now, the Scarab God is super fun, especially for those of you coming from the constructed 60 card aspect of things. You'll be more familiar with this card. Very interesting activated ability and triggered ability on the upkeep. Now, generally with this card, you do not want to be playing exile effects, obviously, because you want to have access to all cards in all players' graveyards to make sure you're stealing those creatures. And so with that in mind, there is also a slight zombie sub-theme. So cards like Rooftop Storm and Jisa and Giralf can be very interesting as well. But you want to make sure that the cards, especially on your side of the graveyard, are going to have the most powerful enter the battlefield abilities. I'm thinking of cards like Sepulchral Primeval and Sidisi Undead Vizier to tutor up whatever you need. But what's interesting is once you amass a critical mass of zombies, you want to look to enchantments such as Paradox Haze to double up that trigger, because hey, remember, your opponents still have 40 life to them. So if you play to the board, then you want to make sure that you're getting that 40 life all the way down to 0. And Paradox Haze is a super fun way to double up and optimize that Scarab God. Finally, what I would like to call the most famous mill commander out there. If you like big butts and you cannot lie, well, you're gonna love Phenax, because the name of the game with Phenax is gonna be walls. Anything with massive massive toughnesses, anything that can block really well, cheap costed, and generally things with defender. Now, there are some very amazing walls. You want to be thinking of stuff like Tree of Perdition, which has multiple ways to disrupt your opponents in this case, or you want to talk about very cute, flavorful walls such as Glacial Wall, especially the art from Ice Age. Oh, look at that! Look at that cute little doggo. Look at him. Anyway, back on topic. What you're seeing with these walls is obviously you're going to be doing a lot of tapping, untapping, whatever it is, and obviously with all that tapping, you want to make sure you have cards that untap your walls whenever you need to. So cards like Intruder Alarm are going to be very crucial to getting those really explosive turns where you're able to mill out one opponent out of the game completely. But the star player in the Phenax mill deck is going to be Eater of the Dead. 1 black, 4 colorless for a 3/4. Take 1 creature from any graveyard and remove it from the game, untap Eater of the Dead. Now, this is going to be really interesting. What are the situations where you look at your opponent's graveyard, your graveyard, and you don't see a creature in there? Almost 0 by the time you can get this card with Phenax out. So a lot of chances this card will go semi-infinite with Phenax out. So very, very sweet. Now that's going to be it. That's how I want to highlight my favorite commanders. Let me know if you want to see more commander content from me. Let me know if you want to see specific deck techs and how I would build the 99 of all of these commanders. Comment down below. And with that in mind, remember that even the impossible is possible. And as we ponder that thought, please join me next time as we take a glimpse into the unthinkable.